about the July or August time frame, we kind of partnered with CASA, the Kingsport City Kiwanis Club, to submit a recommendation or a request for a grant, a $5,000 grant from the Northeast Tennessee Charitable Children's Foundation. And as part of that, the CASA did a really great job, really innovative idea of, and I'll let them maybe describe this a little bit, of a special room that they would create in the space that they already had that was vacant, for being able to allow the children and the court-appointed folks to kind of come together and get to know each other. But now I'm going to turn this over to Bill real quick, since he's the guy with the money.
Hey.
We have done several grants now from the Children's Charitable Foundation through the Kingsport Kiwanis Club. And I would like to thank you all, and especially Hans, for being such powerful advocates for children. You have identified really good, worthwhile projects. And as chair of the grants committee that decides which ones we give out, I've really been very pleased with what you have brought before us, and I hope you'll continue to do so. I really believe in the work that CASA does myself, and I'm proud to meet you all folks, and you do exceptional work, and I hope that this really does some good for y'all. That idea of a space for the children and the court-appointed people to meet in a somewhat less stressful, more informal situation to make the kids more comfortable just sounds like a wonderful idea. So, on behalf of the Kiwanis Northeast Tennessee Children's Charitable Foundation, I have a $5,000 grant check to present to CASA of Kingsport.
Well, I guess I'll just give you a little update of some things that we're doing in the club this month. So on October 29th, we'll have our trunk retreat from 6 to 8. It's a really big project, one of our biggest of the fall. We had about 1,200 attendees last year. And every year that we keep on doing this, it keeps on growing bigger and bigger and bigger. We have more clubs that participate. And some other things that we're doing this month is that we want to help recognize some people who helped with hurricane relief. So we're working with Chick-fil-A and other organizations to try and raise donations for linemen in our area, and we want to focus on different first responders each month. So that's something else that we're looking forward to. And we're still continuing doing our clothing closet donations because we have those lined up in our gym corridor right now with kids coming in, getting supplies that they need for everyday living. That's pretty much what we're doing this month. We thank you all for your contributions and just supporting us and being interested in what we're doing there at Westridge.
They are very, very active, and we do donate $500 to their Trick or Treat event. And if y'all would like to show up out there, it would be great to have some Kiwanians show up out there on the 29th.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up here on a Friday and being committed, because you could have chose to be anywhere, but you came right here to the city of Kingsport. And we're going to introduce our speaker today. I was thinking about this the whole time. I'm just going to say it now. If it comes out later, okay, cool. Brooks Savage, with that name, it's almost like I'm Michael Buffett, right? It's time to introduce Brooks Savage. Okay. So, Brooks Savage. Is a college basketball coach at ETSU. Originally from Columbia, South Carolina, Savage played basketball at Irmo High School with the Yellow Jackets under Coach Tom Whipple. In college, Savage was a student manager for the University of Tennessee under head coaches Bud Peterson and Bruce Pearl. After completing his undergraduate degree in 2008, Savage became a graduate assistant under Bruce Pearl until 2010. Savage earned his bachelor's and master's degree in sports management during his time in Knoxville. In 2011, Savage began his coaching career as an assistant coach with one-year stints in Northwest Florida State and Presbyterian. Following his time at Presbyterian, he became a director of basketball operations at Chattanooga in 2013. In 2014, he was promoted to assistant coach. Coach Savage has served as assistant coach at East Tennessee State from 2015 to 2020 under Coach Steve Forbes. During that 5-year tenure at ETSU, the Buccaneers compiled over a record of 130 wins and 43 losses, including 2 South Conference tournament titles. And in May of 2020, Savage joined the Wake Forest basketball staff. From 21 to 23, Coach Savage saw Wake Forest compile at least 10 ACC wins, resulting in the first time the Demon Deacons had back-to-back 10-plus conference wins since 1996-97. On March 20th, 2023, Coach Brooks Savage was hired as the men's coach at ETSU. And as you know, last year they made it to the SoCon finals, and hopefully this year coming up, we get into the dance, right? Personally, he is married to his wife, Lauren, and they have 2 children, Waverly and Sloan. If you guys don't mind to stand up and give a warm, honest welcome to Coach Brooks Savage.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Happy to be back. Thanks for the kind introduction. We tend to leave the Chattanooga part out nowadays. We don't like to bring that up much, but thank you. Just happy to be here and really appreciative of the work that you guys do. I was a Key Club member myself back in high school, back at Irmo High School in Columbia, South Carolina. We've actually played in the Arby's Classic, the artist formerly known as the Arby's Classic, many times throughout history. I played there myself, so that was kind of my first experience with the Tri-Cities and their love for basketball. But I was a Key Club member. So, service is important to me in our program. That's just how I was raised. And I think it's important you can make a difference in the world, but it's got to start oftentimes right here at home. And that's probably the most important place. So that's something I've always tried to do. It's something that's important to me, and it's something that is reflected through our basketball program at ETSU. This might be a little bit weird, but we do a lot of stuff, but our SID and our people are always trying to get us to put it out on social media. I don't know, call me old school, but I just don't believe in that. So you may not see it much. I don't think that's self-serving. It's not why you do it. You do it because it's the right thing to do and do the work. And so, but we did lead all of the athletic programs last year at East Tennessee State in community service hours and opportunities. And so that's something that we are really proud of. And I think that is much, obviously in alignment with all you folks. And so just appreciate what you guys do. And it's definitely a time now that we need to do as much as we can with what's going on in Northeast Tennessee and Western North Carolina with the flood and a number of many other, very important organizations. So just happy to be here. And when Pete asked me to do this, I was, of course, wanted to do it, but, it kind of feels now like a little bit of an ambush because I didn't know we would be singing and then I would be mic'd up. No one else in here is mic'd up when you're singing. So I feel bad for whoever has to sort through the tape, but that's not one of my finer moments, I can promise you. So a little friendly fire there, Pete. Yeah. So anyway, this is cool. I know this is a big weekend. This is a cool time of year. Basketball is right around the corner. We've already had a close scrimmage against Middle Tennessee. Well, it was closed except for everybody except for Walt Clark and Grant and Henry came. They were allowed in. But we played in Knoxville against Middle Tennessee on the 11th, and it was very productive scrimmage. But basketball season starting up. There's some really marquee football games going on, and we got Alabama, Tennessee Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. They both messed up the Saturday night game because you guys lost to Vanderbilt, and we laid an egg at Arkansas, so we kind of messed that up. But nonetheless, still an important game. So it's a fun time of year, but most importantly for us, basketball is getting ready to go, and we like our team. We do. We like our team a lot, and I tell you, it's a lot. I don't remember. The last year is just it's a blur in a lot of ways. So I don't remember exactly when I was here last, but year 2 is definitely easier than year 1. I can promise you. The first year was hiring staff and selling a house, buying a house, having a newborn. Recruiting the whole team and trying to get the program in place to try to get us back to, where we eventually went, and that was the championship game. And so But year 2 is a lot easier. We have 8 players back from last year's team. We lost the least amount of production of anybody in the league to the portal. So I think that says a lot about the experience that our student athletes have at East Tennessee State. They like going to school. They like the community. They like each other. I think it speaks to the culture that we're building back, over at ETSU. And so they're having a good experience. They feel they got a taste of what winning is really like and playing in the championship game, and they all wanted to come back and try to see this thing through. And so that's what we're working towards doing. So Kimari Peterson's back, Karan Boyd, Jaden Seymour, Alan Struthers, DJ Hughes, Gabe Sisk, Makai Johnson, and then we had a freshman, David Merriweather, sitting out. But those 8, I think that was 8. Might have missed somebody. Was that 8? I feel like that. Huh?
Brian's son.
Oh, Jackson. Yep. 10 if you count those 2, Tim and Jackson and Timmy. So we have a lot of guys back, and it just makes it way easier. Everything we were doing last year was the first time, and so it's going a lot better. This summer had a really productive summer and on into the fall. But then we signed 5, I guess, but 5 new players, and so we have 4 of those transfers will be able to play. One's a high school player that will redshirt. But 4 transfers that'll be impact players for us. They'll all play. 2 big kids up front, Davion Bradford and Roosevelt Wheeler. Both are 6'11", 7 foot, and all of 240, 250 plus pounds. So real size at the basket. We ranked last in the league last year in posting up. So we had to get that fixed. And then we added 2 really good guards in Kurt Lewis. Let me run it back. Davion Bradford, I'll tell you a little bit more about the new guys. Davion Bradford played for us at Wake Forest. And then last year, long story short, sat out. And we were able to sign him or get him committed right about the beginning of February, end of January, beginning of February. And so he's been with us for a while. And then Roosevelt Wheeler, we signed in May. He started his career at Louisville, was a top 75 player coming out of high school, played at Louisville and VCU, and for whatever reason, his career hasn't really gone the way probably he had hoped. But, this has always been a place at East Tennessee State that, guys can get a second chance and you can kind of resurrect your career here. We've seen it a number of times. And so those 2 guys are really talented, and they're real size dudes. So they'll be good for us. With those 2 and DJ Hughes, we'll have a pretty good 5 spot. And then John Buggs and Kurt Lewis are the 2 guards that we signed. Kurt Lewis was the National and Junior College Player of the Year 2 years ago. Him and Kimari Peterson, our point guard, played at John A. Logan and won national championship. And Kurt was the National Player of the Year. Then he went to Missouri, and then I told him last week in practice that they were the worst team in the history of the SEC. They didn't win a single game, and he didn't much like that, but it's true. So him and he wanted to come where he could play more and win, and him and Kimari have a close relationship, so that was a relatively easy recruitment. But they're a really talented player. He looks like a linebacker. He can get downhill. He's about 6'5", 220, and really good kid. And so he'll be good for us. And then John Buggs, if you haven't met him yet, hopefully you get the opportunity to, because he'll light up the room. And he's got just a contagious, big personality. Never met a stranger. He's from Homer, Louisiana. Came to us from North Texas, but he's been around many different schools. But came to us from North Texas, from Homer. He owns horses. Just incredibly engaging. Connector within the team. Never has a bad day. $1 million smile, and he can make shots. He can really score, and really good defender too. Played close to 30 minutes a game in North Texas, and you don't play there if you can't guard. So he's good. He was exactly what we needed. We kind of held out to the very end there, and we were able to get that done. Coach Chris Arkenberg on our staff had a huge hand in all of the recruitment, but especially with that one. That was a big get. He visited, so that's an interesting story. he was originally supposed to go to Memphis when he went in the portal, but it got messed up somehow. And so he was kind of hanging out there. He had a ton of calls, number of calls on. So we're talking to him, and then it kind of goes ghost. You kind of go silent and I'm like, oh man, this isn't going good, And so come to find out, he was on a visit to Texas A&M, and we're like, well, we're not getting him, He went on the visit, went on the steak dinner, took the photos in the uniform like you all see all the time. And Tuesday morning, it's actually funny. So I was like getting really stressed about this because we needed one, like this is what we needed. And it was getting late. There wasn't a ton left out there because we were really specific and picky, because when you have a lot of guys back, and it's easy to fill exactly what you need versus having to sign a bunch where you just trying to get it to, throw it together. So we had a very specific need, and he was the best one available. I'm getting really stressed about it. So on Tuesday morning, it was like 8 a.m. and I like prayed about it. Not necessarily like, Lord, deliver John Buggs to the Bucks. Although he might have done it. But I was like, hey, just give me some clarity. Like, just point me in the right direction. Let this work out. Just steer me where we need to go, right? And at 10 o'clock, John Buggs calls and said he wants to visit that weekend. I said, that's pretty fast. So those little God winks, along the way kind of keep you going. But I'm like, you're all right, man. So 10 o'clock he calls and says he wants to visit, and he visited on a Friday, I think a Friday and a Saturday. And so the dead period, this was right at the end of the portal. The dead period was coming like on Tuesday. And it was Saturday afternoon. We're taking him back to the airport. I said, hey, man, I don't believe in pressuring guys into committing. I think you got to want to be here, man, because it's going to be difficult. It's going to be really hard. And you got to want to come here. I can't pressure you into that decision, because when it doesn't go well for you, that's what's going to keep you moving forward. And so I was like, listen, I'm not even going to pressure you, but, the calendar is what it is. It's going dead on Tuesday. We got to get somebody. We have another kid coming in tomorrow afternoon, and I think he's going to take it. So it's like he flies out. It's like, well, in a nice way. So I say, hey, if at any point you decide you want to do this between now and then, call me and let me know, and I'll cancel that visit. I'd love to make that phone call. So it's like 4 a.m, and I'd been like a little bit sick, so I get up. And I have these like 4 text messages from John Buggs. And I'm like, oh man, like, what is this? I didn't know whether something got messed up with the flight or what's going on. And he's texting me, hey coach, I'm in, I'm coming, let's do this. 4 a.m. So I go into my closet, I shut the door, and I call him because he's still awake. And it's like, those text messages were like at 2:30. It's like 4 o'clock. I call him, he's up, I'm like whisper yelling, like, let's go. Like, like, in the closet, he's excited. So that worked out. But he is just everything you want, all-American kid, great student, really good player, hard worker, always in the gym, great teammate, connector. You can't say enough good things about him. And so those 4 guys have been really impactful already, and really a ton of humility. A ton of humility. They're not coming in like they're the man or they're taken over, nothing like that. Like, they have ingrained themselves within the team very seamlessly. The returning guys have welcomed them with open arms. And so when you have guys that are like that, man, you got a chance to be really good. And they're good players and great young men. And so they've continued to represent this community and ETSU in a first-class manner. We took 50 hours of summer school, had a 3.97. Had all A's and 2 B's. They do the right things, and like we always tell our kids or our students, our young people, like, hey, if you continue to do the right stuff, good things will happen. I don't know when, but it will. And so we've continued to keep that belief, and that's where we're at. And so we had a good scrimmage against Middle, really good film to learn from. We got an inter squad tomorrow at Freedom Hall at 10 if you want to come. And then we're going to play High Point in a charity exhibition on the 27th. And High Point's really, really good. They got a boatload of NIL. They got a good roster. They won 27 last year. They got a bunch of guys back. Preseason player of the year in their league. They're good. And might be the best team we play all year. And so we playing them on the 27th at Freedom Hall. And we've teamed up with Uncommon Grit, which is for families of wounded military veterans and first responders. And then Finnegan's Challenge is for kids born with disabilities. And so probably something that we can all relate to there. And I think they're going to then do some stuff locally with people that have been affected with the flood. So we're able to kind of tie it all together, which was good because that happened first. And then the storm came and we're like, well, how can we, merge these two? And so we've worked through that. And I think they're going to get together and do some stuff. And so Dr. Sanders has been really influential in all that. And, I'm trying to put together another event maybe to help. But I think we're still working through that. But that would be really cool. So anyway, that's where we're at. We have that, and we open up on the 4th, and we're off and running. So last thing, I guess we had some staff turnover. We got 3 really, really impressive staff members. Marcus Belcher, assistant coach, came from Jacksonville State, but I joke with him. I said he'd been at every school in the Missouri Valley. So he's a veteran, played at Southern Illinois. His brother Cookie played at Nebraska. He works for the coaches with the Clippers now, and but just salt of the earth person, really hard worker, great coach, diligent recruiter. Lucky to have him. Corey Dixon played at University of New Orleans. He's another one of our assistants. Played for Coach Arkenberg at UNO. He played 6 years overseas, including for the London Lions, which is like the Lakers over there. And then he coached in the G League. So to be able to add somebody with professional playing and coaching experience was a big get for us, especially what we're paying him. So you got to have people that, just love of the game. And he certainly does. He's really good, really sharp. And then Blake Sexton started his career at Tennessee as a manager just like I did. And so he's our young guy on the staff. And no job too big or too small. He's as hard a worker as it comes. So we moved him. We don't have enough offices for all the people in our little office area. So I just put through a desk in my office. We share an office, and I haven't opened the door one time. He's there before me every day. So he's good. That's where we're at. So would encourage you guys to come check us out early. We have 7 of our first 9 are at home, and that's from October 27th through the end of November. So we're at home a lot during November, the week before Thanksgiving. Come check us out. I think you'll like what you see, and I think you'll want to come back. And so, come see us. We're on the road a lot in December, but at home early. So come by, get your tickets, and come out there and see us. So, any questions?